In this Jedi Survivor video, I will be showing you unreleased content for the game that I have found, from new customization options such as helmets, to gameplay features. There is a lot of cool stuff that didn't make it into the final game. Before we do take a look at the unreleased content, make sure you do subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any future Jedi Survivor videos, including news updates, plus tips and tricks. Firstly, I need to tell you some important notes for context. What I will show you is real. This is not fake, it's found in the game files. I looked myself and they are there. If you want to check the validity of them, you can go ahead and do it yourself. I am sure many people will also question, why isn't this in the final game? Well, there could be many reasons for this. For example, Respawn may not have pursued it because it wasn't good enough, or they just didn't have the time to do it. Others may speculate that this could be for upcoming DLC, but what you will see is that a lot of these items appear to have been cut a long time ago in development and not close to release. They don't appear to be some last minute thing that got cut right at the end of development, and pretty much everything I show in this video would require quite a bit of work before it does end up releasing. Every video game has content that doesn't make it into the final release, and also doesn't make it into DLC. I'm making this video because I'm very interested in how games change over time during development, so you'll also be seeing some things that changed rather than being removed completely. Now for the first piece of unreleased content. What if I told you helmets were something that Respawn had worked on? Here is proof. This specific helmet reminds me of Starkiller's Dark Lord armor from Star Wars The Force Unleashed. There is even a Rebel Endor helmet. This icon is part of a set that is more in line with the style of what we got in Fallen Order. We can see Cal's old outfit, the Inquisitor outfit, headgear, the Mantis and more. It looks like before the customization system underwent significant changes to evolve it, headgear and Mantis customization could have come to Jedi Survivor. This set of in-development hairstyle UI icons contains the Endor helmet, a Padawan haircut complete with braid, a different looking headband haircut, and others with unfinished hair on Cal's younger head. There are some outfits that aren't in the final game but have these UI images. This one has some chrome armour similar to what the Mandalorian wears. This variant is green, whilst these are grey and brown and are a little bit different in their design. Those jackets also come with matching pants in the files, which I am showing you right here now. Another piece of content that I believe was cut is a food and drink system. There are icons for food, drink and credits. This drinks menu tablet is in the files, but you can't see it in-game. The text is just lorem ipsum placeholder text, so you can see that each of the drinks cost a different amount of credits. The outer edge of the menu says, all sales final, drink at your own risk. So there is this burger icon, plus Ogre's Cantina logo, and the First Order logo, which you're thinking, well, how does the First Order relate to all of this? Well, Ogre's Cantina, if you didn't know, is the one found in Galaxy's Edge, the Disneyland park. It is possible that it was used as a placeholder for Pyloon Saloon. However, the food, drink and credit system is not present at all in the final game. There is also this map icon for drinking. Speaking of Galaxy's Edge, later on in the video I will show you even more assets from there and Batu, which makes me believe that maybe it was planned or taken from somewhere else, hence the First Order logo. These are some mock-ups of the garden and its UI. They used an image of BD1 from Fallen Order, non-final images of the plants, and a background of the garden when it wasn't finished. This is an earlier version of the stance change screen. It originally looked like this, with the 5 stances at the bottom of the screen. It also had a charms tab, which was the original name for perks. The game files list some charms that later became perks, and others that did not make it into the final game. For example, the charms include a triple jump. The Party Saber charm became the Trendsetter perk, and then its own feature for New Game Plus. The No Enemy HP bars perk, which probably would have removed the health bars of all enemies, became the Purity perk, and a perk called Null XP did not make it into the final game at all, neither did its icon, it wasn't reused. Next up is something a bit fun, so here is an early version of the Jukebox UI. It has the real artist's name instead of the Star Wars name used in the final game, plus a bunch of meme images. We have King Jabba, Darth Jar Jar, Cloud City, and Cool Palpatine. Another UI screen that changed for the better is the skill tree. You can see here that it lacks the depth of the final game. It also has the same flaw as Fallen Order. It's really cool to see how the devs iterated on this to make it look even better. These 3 images were placeholders for the videos when you acquired the crossguard, blaster, and dual-wield stances. This was also an early background used for the customization screen before we got the Force Tear Void look across the game. Pretty cool, right? This mock-up was used for the UI that displayed when Cal opened a chest, and these 3 images were placeholders for the 3 types of blaster shots that you can unlock. These early zipline, rope, and execution icons have the Respawn Studio logo on them. Let's take a look at a couple of Holo Tactics placeholder images. So we have this one for Merrin, Turgle, Grease, and Cage. This Turgle one has the words "do not ship," and if you don't know what that means, it means don't put this in the final game. Meanwhile, this placeholder for Cage shows placeholder "do not ship," because this icon actually changed to a different one that's in the final game. Another set of "do not ship" branded items, this time in pink cool text, are currency objects. These are an earlier version of the seeds, priorite shards, bounty pucks, and data discs. The data disc image is the holo disc as seen in Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. These skill tree and meditation point screens have placeholder "do not ship" text on them, and these are early placeholder icons for Merrin and Bode. Merrin's is just a picture from Fallen Order, whereas Bode, well, that's a little bit of a different look of Bode. Abilities such as swimming, climbing, phase shatter, grapple, and force dash had icons made for them. Interestingly, climbing is still called climbing claws in the files, with the icon called climbing claws, and perhaps early on the claws from Fallen Order were to make a return, or they just did not change the name for the mechanic and got rid of them appearing on Cal's model and stuff like that. A fun thing I noticed is that some of the placeholders and tests were just this text, Zepho Researcher. This placeholder is a pink Jedi logo saying "Need Art," and this one is "Need Art" but in Proprius font, the same one that Avatar used. I do like how this Battlefront 2 image of a Stormtrooper in the collection menu was a Holo Tactics placeholder image. This Stormtrooper image was a placeholder for the tactical guide images. Here is 2 funny holo photos without the hologram effect, Cal's heist crew and the Acuna family. They are just quick and funny Photoshop jobs using real photos of the actors. The interesting part of the Acuna family portrait, though, is that they are on Batuu, the Galaxy's Edge planet. In the background, you can see a couple of locals, plus a Zeta-class shuttle, and clearly Galaxy's Edge. Now, another relevant topic to do with Galaxy's Edge and Batuu is that a bunch of files in the game are in a folder called Batuu. So, the Ogre's Cantina logo, Bose being on Batuu, and these files may all just be a coincidence, because the files are just mostly textures and materials for metal panels, top, and other bits for buildings, including this roof. Either Batuu was an idea to be one of Jedi Survivor's planets early on, or it was just used by a developer when they were working on ideas. This Batuu folder is under the Playgrounds folder, which is basically where loads of developers have their own folder, and it's just where they messed around coming up with new ideas for this game. For example, another playground is titled Gas Station, and it features beer textures in the files. There is also this Killing Frost logo. I did check the files of the Tales from the Galaxy's Edge VR game to see if that Respawn did borrow assets from that game, but I did not find a match. I could not see any of the same assets used, so I do wonder if ILM or Lucasfilm supplied these assets to them so they could just play around with them. That's a great transition into the next set of items I found. So there are folders for borrowed assets, listed as from Lucas, from DICE, and from Ragtag. The Lucas folder contains some rock walls. The From DICE folder contains hundreds of assets created by DICE for Battlefront. The B-1 droids, the R2 unit, Gonk droid, the Lucrehulk itself, the speeder bike, TIE Interceptor, X-Wing weapons, an EOP saddle, and wildlife all came from Battlefront. A lot of Imperial props were borrowed from Battlefront as well, including Death Star assets, just so many of them, and even Iden Versio's Corva ship. A lot of these were also used in Fallen Order, so some of them will be leftovers from Fallen Order and weren't used in Survivor, but I thought I'd mention them anyway because it's still cool to see. The same could be said about assets from Ragtag. The famously cancelled game, led by Amy Hennig, had a bunch of its assets used in Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order. The most notable one is the Republic Police gunship. A lot of Imperial and Kashyyyk props were also borrowed from Ragtag, Kashyyyk being in Fallen Order. It's sad but also cool to see some work the developers put in at Visceral did end up getting used in a game, just not theirs. Here's a close look at the cube map reflections used in Greaser's Pyloon Saloon. You can see how it does differ a bit from the real thing, as it is a low resolution reflection. Same goes for this one on Coruscant, but I feel like the lights are just far more prominent in this cube map than in the actual game world. I have gone through like 100,000 files for this video, so it is possible to have missed some unreleased and early in-development content. All that I showed you is what I could see and found most interesting after several days of research. Comment down below which was your favourite finds that I showed you in this video, and please do drop a like to help support this video. It took a long time to make it, so I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any future Jedi Survivor videos, and if you did miss any of my previous videos, click on the playlist on screen right now, and I shall see you in my next video. Goodbye.